determine the area of the rectangle in this figure without multiplying. So in this figure, we have 2.6. We have a shape with dimensions 2.6 by 3.4. And we know to find the area, we need to use the length times width, 2.6 times 3.4. But instead of using the standard algorithm to multiply them, say 4 times 6, 4 times 2, and all that, we want you to do something different. So again, they pay attention to the instruction. It says without multiplying them. So what we're going to do is we are going to split the shape by ones and the tenths, because we in the length 2.6, we have 2 ones and 6 tenths, as you can see in the drawing. So that is 1. That's the second one. What's 2 ones? And each of the tiny ones is a 0.1. So we have 0.1, 0.1, 0.1, 0.1, 0.1, 0.1. So that's a total of 6 of them. So I'm just going to label this as 0.6. It's too small for me to label 0.1, 0.1, 0.1. So, and for the width, we have 3 ones. So it has 1, another 1, and another 1, and 4 tenths. So again, you can see I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Each of them has a tenth. And I'm just going to put them together and call it 0.4. So now notice that we have those different sections here. So I kind of redraw the shapes here. So we have what I call a big square. So we have literally in those shapes, we have different sections. We have three types of shapes. One of them is a big one, a big square with size 1 by 1. So here it's a big 1 by 1, and oftentimes when you go shopping to buy tiles, they come with 1 by 1, 1 foot by 1 foot. And the second type of shape, if I can highlight here, is like this, and like a skinny rectangle. And notice that the length is 1, because this size is same as 1, but the width is kind of tiny. It's 0.1. It's one of those 0.4s. So the size, I'm going to label this is 1 by 1, which means the area is 1, and this it's 1 by 0.1, which means the area is 0.1. And we have many of these ones here, and here. And also don't forget these horizontal, tiny horizontal ones. My pen is too thick, but it's kind of like laid down, but it's also 1 by 0.1, so which has the same area, which is 0.1, because any number times 1 is itself, so it's 0.1 times 1 is 0.1. Now we also have those tiny squares right here, and again my pen is too thick. I probably highlighted 2 of them. And notice this little tiny square both has dimension 0.1 by 0.1, and the 0.1 by 0.1, so a tenth and a tenth to get multiplied would be 100 tenths, so a tenth of a tenth, which we talked about in the place value. When you divide 1/10 into 10 equal parts, you're going to get the next place value, which is 100th. So the area is going to be 100th or 0.01. Okay, you can either use fraction, but either use fraction or decimal. If you like fractions, you can use fractions, which is 1/10, or you can use decimals, 0.1 for 1/10 and 0.01 for 100. Okay, so after we recognize there are 3 different shapes in here, so we're going to add all the shapes together. So first, let's start with, I'm going to separate them. Let's see how many of the big squares we have. So we have 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here. As you can see, we have 6. You can either count it, or there are 2 rows, 3 columns. 2 times 3 is 6. So we have 6 big squares. And now let's count those skinny rectangles. So we have 4 here, and the 4 here, that's 8. So because there are 2 8s, that's 2 times 4, 8. Right here we have 6 rows and 3 columns, which gives us 6 times 3, that's 18. So 18 here, so we have 6 here, 6 here, 6 here. We got 4 here, 4 here. So altogether we have 18 plus 8, that's a total of 26 of these skinny rectangles. Now, those tiny ones, as you can see, we have 6 rows here, 4 columns. So we have 6 times 4, 24 of them. Again, 6 because those tiny ones, you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows and 4 columns. 1, 2, 3, 4 columns. So that's a total of 6 times 4, which is 24 tiny squares. Okay, so now we're going to add all of these shapes together, and each big square has size 1, the area 1, and the skinny rectangles. So that's the area for the big one. That's the area for this one, and that's the area for the tiny squares. Okay, so let's add them. We have 6 here. Now notice that 26 of the tiny squares. So the other thing we need to know is 10 of those rectangles will make a big square. And if you look at the big square and you can divide this into 10 skinny rectangles. So when you have 10 of them, you can kind of tape them together, glue them together to make a big square. So we have 110 will become a big square which has area 1. Another 10 of these will give us another big square. That's 2 big squares. But then I have 6 of these strips or skinny rectangles. Each of them has 0.1, so 6 of them will give me 0.6. Okay, so let's add these together. Now finally, those tiny squares, we have 24 of them. And notice 10 of the tiny squares can make this skinny rectangle, because if you look at the skinny rectangle and if you divide it into 10 equal parts, each of them is going to be a tiny square. So out of these 24, 10 of them can make a 0.1. That's the area of the skinny rectangle. Another 10 of them can make another 0.1. So that you can just go ahead and do 0.2 here. Or if you say, you can see the 20 of them can make two big square, you can put 2 here. And finally, there's also a four tiny ones left. So out of the 24 here, and you take 20 of them, make 2 rectangles, and then there will be 4 left. So these 4, each of them has the area 0.01, so 4 of them will give us 0.04. Now let's combine all of them. So we have 6 plus 1 plus 1, that's 8. And we have 0.6 plus 1.1, that's 0.8. And then there's a 0.004. In my answer, I used the fractions. So instead of 0.8, I used 0.8. Instead of 0.04, I used 400th. But that should give us the same answer, which is 8.84.